So let's begin the process of setting up our own view. In this video, we're going to discover how exactly to set up a view. And then once we have that view set up, we're going to take a look at the different field options that we have, some of the different sort options, as well as the menu options we have within our freshly created view. After that, we're going to take a look at how to edit a view that we've already created or one that was created when we first installed Drupal. So now that we have an understanding of what views are, let's go ahead and create one of our own. Now between the last video and this one, I've gone ahead and added 3 articles to my website. You may want to pause the video for a moment and add a few to yours. Essentially what we're going to be building is exactly what we're seeing here. Now the only difference is this is just the global random default news feed that Drupal comes pre-installed with. And if we choose to override the front page, this page essentially goes away. So we're just going to kind of take this as an example and recreate it as a news page on our website. So in order to do that, we're going to come up here to Structure, and we're going to go down to Views. From here, we're just going to create a new view. Once we do that, Drupal's going to ask us a couple of questions. First of all, what do you want to name your view? In this case, we're going to name our view News Views. The reason we're naming it News Views and not News Overview is because we can use this configuration to create multiple pages or multiple blocks, and we don't want to specify something too specific because then that limits the use of this particular view. The next thing Drupal is going to ask for is some of the basic filtering settings that we want to apply to our view. In this case, it's going to ask us what entity do you want to use from your Drupal installation. Do you want comments, users, taxonomy terms, or content? In this case, we're going to select the content option. And then we're going to tell Drupal that we want all of the nodes that are of the article content type. From here, it's going to ask us, do you want to create a page? Do you want to create a block? Do you want to create both, or don't you want to create anything? And there are some reasons why we might not choose these. Maybe we want to use an RSS feed, in which case that option isn't specified here. But in our case, we just want to create a page. It's going to ask us, what do you want your page title to be? We want it to just be news. We also want the URL just to be news, as it's going to be the news overview. Then it's going to ask for some display settings. How do you want this to output? Do you want it to output as a grid, as a table, as an HTML list, or as an unformatted list? In our case, we're going to choose the unformatted list. But know that as you install other modules, you may have more options here. For instance, you may install the calendar module, in which case a calendar display format would be made available to you here. What do you want to output? Do you want to output just the default teaser display from your content type? Or do you want to do fields and kind of customize it however you want? In our case, we're going to grab the fields. We're going to tell it we want, in our case, since I only have 3 articles, we want 2 articles and we want to use a pager. From here, we can go ahead and save and edit. No matter what configuration settings we choose on the previous page, this particular page is always going to look the same. So whether we choose grid or unformatted list, content teasers or fields, this particular page isn't going to change. Now, there's a couple of minor exceptions to that rule, which are the page settings here. You may not have a path for a block because blocks don't have URLs. But for the most part, this page is going to stay the same. If we start over here on the far left, we can see that we have the option to change the title that we set up, the format, so we're not locked into that unformatted list. We could switch to a table if we'd like. And we're also not locked into that fields option. We can go back to the teasers if we want to, and that all can be changed here. Under the fields list, we're able to add all of the fields that we want views to display to us. Now, if we do select the teaser option, this particular section is really unusable because it's going to be pulling in the teasers from the content type to use as the fields. Next up is the filtering criteria. We can filter down even farther than this if we'd like to. As you can see here, we're just pulling in published content that is of the article content type. We could filter down to articles only posted by a specific user if we wanted to, or after a specific date. All of that is done here in the filtering criteria. Next up is the sorting criteria. Now this is how do we want our articles to display? Now, obviously for a news feed, it makes the most sense to have content authored on by the dates descending, so the newest one is first. However, depending on your view, you may want to change this entirely. Next up, for pages, we have the path that can be configured. We can also tell it whether or not we want to put it in the menu, and we can limit the visibility of this based on permissions or roles on our website. The header and footer are exactly what they sound like. It's a content area above and below our view. The no results behavior is what happens when this view returns absolutely nothing. Up next is the pager. As you can see, we have the mini pager working for us right now, and these options can be changed to full pagers. With the calendar module, it can be done to page by date. The advanced section we're going to cover a little more in the next video, but just know that it's here for now. Below all of this is an actual preview of the view itself. So let's add a couple of more fields here. So if we click Add, we can come up here to the top of this box and we can search for article. That's going to limit our fields down to just things that pertain to the article. In our case, we want the body and the image. There's also one other thing that we want, and that's a link. Now Drupal has built into views just a link to the content that is just going to be a simple link to the content. So we're going to add all this stuff to our view. When we do that, every field is going to have similar page to this with some varying options on the top. All of them will have the option for a label and some different configuration settings. Here we can see that we're working with our body, and there's one thing we want to do to it. We want to rewrite the results. This is going to change the output. As of right now, this view is just outputting everything in this body field, and we want to trim it to, let's say, 200 characters. Within our image, we can select some things here. We can say that we want it to just be an image formatted, and we want to use the medium image style so that it's 200 by 200, and we want it to link to the content. And for our link option, let's just say read more. And we can apply that. And now we can see that our view is outputting all of those options. We can also come in here and rearrange the fields and maybe put our image on top. And then we can just save our view. After this view has been saved, there's one more thing we forgot to do, which is add this to the menu so we have quick access to it. So let's just say that we're going to add a normal menu entry. We're going to name it News. If we scroll down here, let's just put it in the main navigation and apply that, and we'll save again. Now if we return to our site, we're going to see that we have a News tab here, and if we click on it, we're going to be taken to that brand new news overview page that we just created, with the pager and all. We can always get back to our view by coming up here to Structure, Views, finding our news view, and clicking the Edit button. There's also a bit of a quicker way to get back here. And if from the page that we're on, we can come up here to this little pencil icon and just simply click Edit View. And that'll bring us straight to the view, and we can make some changes and modify things here. And really, that's how simple it is to set up a view, a basic view, using Drupal 8. In the next video, we're going to be diving into a pretty advanced, interesting topic known as contextual filters.